Good evening. I hereby call this regular meeting of Nacogdoches ISD Board of Trustees to order. Let the record show that the quorum is present and notice of this meeting was posted as required by Texas Open Meeting Act. Board member, Mr. T.C. Groman, is unable to attend tonight's meeting, and Reverend Pitcock, I believe, on the road. Okay, thank you all for joining us tonight, and first order of business will be conducting executive closed session. The board will now conduct an executive closed session to discuss items posted on our agenda pursuant to the following provision of Texas Open Meeting Act and allowed by Texas Government Code Sections 551.071, 551.072, 551.074, 551.076, and 551.1.29. No voting will take place in the closed meeting. Any action the board wishes to take as the result of discussions in closed session will take place after the board reconvenes into open session. Time now is 5:02. Good evening, everyone. The board is now reconvening into open session, and time is 6:09. Please remember the items do not have to be taken as it has been listed. Thank you for joining us tonight, and please turn your cell phone to the silent mode. At this time, I ask Ms. Abt to give us invocation, please.
Let's pray. Heavenly Father, we just thank you that we can meet together and openly discuss how to take care of our children in the best way. We ask for your wisdom, and we ask for your help in making these important decisions, and we pray this in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, ma'am. Okay, at this time, we ask my principal of Brooks Queen Jones Elementary School, Ms. Amber Wilson, with her students, will lead us to the pledges to the flags, please.
Good evening. Good evening, President Neermon, board members, Superintendent Trujillo. Tonight, we have the children of our dedicated staff members to lead us in the reciting of the Pledge of Allegiance. These young individuals represent the unique perspective of growing up in a household deeply committed to education. As children of our educators, they've witnessed firsthand the passion, dedication, and countless hours their parents pour into shaping young minds. These children have grown up understanding the value of education, not just as students, but as part of a family that lives and breathes the mission of our schools. They've absorbed the lessons of empathy, critical thinking, and lifelong learning that are at the core of what we do. By leading us in the Pledge of Allegiance tonight, they remind us of the important role we all play in nurturing the next generation of citizens and leaders. They embody the connection between the professional lives and the personal commitment to the community and our nation. Without further ado, please join me in welcoming the staff's children of Brooks Quinn Jones to lead the pledge. Please stand for the pledge. Place your right hand over your heart.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Now for the Texas pledge. I pledge the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
You may be seated.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And if I could have all the staff that is here with their children, along with any other staff that join us, I want to appreciate you real quick.
Cuties.
There is some states that every school, every classroom should have a flag. Remind you. I said, that's good. That's good thing. Parents, thank you all for bringing your children. Ms. Wilson, thank you.
She wants to stay. She wants to run the meeting. Then we can get out of the meeting.
Okay. Now, at this time, we have superintendent's reports and announcements.
President Fashid and Board, good evening. What a great start to this new school year. There's been so many wonderful things that have been already happening around Nacogdoches ISD. I can't wait to see what else the school year holds for all of us. We've seen good things happening at all of our campuses and across different departments that have so much influence on the success of a student. So a big thank you to our teachers and our campuses for all they do. Plant services, technology, student nutrition, transportation, all have such an impact on how the instructional day goes, and I can't wait to see what happens next. Also, 10 Nacogdoches ISD paraprofessionals are part of the district's first Teachworthy cohort, a pathway for completion of their bachelor's degree and obtaining a teaching certificate while working in the classroom as instructors. We have Indiana Wesley University is NISD's partner as the institution, which of the program's expenses are covered by a combination of the partnership between the district and Indiana Wesley and the additional salary paid to the staff while they move forward through their classes. We launched the program earlier this year because, no surprise here, the Texas schools are struggling to fill openings in their classrooms. This program addresses a targeted need for Nacogdoches ISD school district across the state, across the nation, and are facing difficulties in hiring teachers. And this is an opportunity to truly grow our own educators. And these are educators that have had a lifetime commitment to Nacogdoches Independent School Districts as paraprofessionals. We were able to wrap up a lot of the construction projects around the districts this summer, but we're still waiting on completion of adding netting behind the goalpost at the south end of the zone in the Dragon Stadium. We need the netting because new bleachers have been installed there for our band and the drill team to be closer to the home side stadium. For obvious reasons, we need the netting up before we put our great band and Dragonettes in those stands, and that should happen soon. Maybe as early as this next week, getting our band and drill team members closer to the home side fans will add energy for the football team, but still leave plenty of room for our home side bleachers for students and fans. The atmosphere at Dragon Stadium for the season opener was on August 30th, and it was great. And we have homecoming that is tomorrow, so we got a lot of guests in town. September is Deaf Awareness Month. Nacogdoches ISD is a regional day school program for the deaf, serving 21 school districts from around East Texas. The regional program was created by the Texas Education Agency as part of the state law requirements that the agency develop a plan to address educational services for students who are deaf or hard of hearing. These programs enable students to attend school as close to home as possible. Our program provides services for whom meet the criteria of deaf or hard of hearing. At Nacogdoches ISD, this program allows students to receive a range of services, and more importantly, let them spend time in the mainstream classes as well as their deaf education classes. We've got Ms. Kayla Hughes here, who has been a longtime director of the deaf education program, and now she oversees the entire special education department. And I know Kayla and her staff are fiercely dedicated to providing educational services for our deaf and hard of hearing students, and we greatly appreciate the outstanding work that she and her staff is doing for our students. Nacogdoches High School had 61 students earn their AP Scholar Honors Distinction or certificates during the previous school year. That's an increase of 19 students from 2023 and represents the most AP Scholar Honors ever at the high school. That's a tremendous accomplishment, and I'm proud of the work that's taking place not only at the high school level but throughout the district. What happens at the elementary campuses and the middle school makes a big difference in the kind of numbers possible at that high school. Great job, Nacogdoches High School. Today, we had a great meeting. We met with Senator Nichols. There were several superintendents from across the region, and we hosted them here at the administration office. And in the build-up for the next legislative session that begins in January, we talked about some key issues. We talked about funding. We talked about school safety, accountability. Senator Nichols was seeking out input to provide a bit of guidance as we get closer to January. We're fortunate to have someone like Senator Nichols represent us in Austin. He's a strong supporter of public education, and I'm grateful he took the time today to hear what our concerns were in Nacogdoches County. And for those that are out there also, I don't have this scripted, but I also had a very wonderful conversation with our soon-to-be Representative Joanne Schaffner, and it was a great conversation about what alignment with what she's looking for and what public education is looking for as she represents Nacogdoches. I want to make you aware of the west entrance at Russ Boulevard, otherwise known as Klein Road. For if you're going to take that back road to the administration office, this is for you. The Support Center parking lot will be closed in the coming days for through traffic tomorrow, and then it will be closed completely Tuesday, September 17th through Monday, September 23rd. To install a storm drain that needs to be installed. This is part of the ongoing construction of the district training center at the DSC. Russell Boulevard will still be open for use for the doctor's offices on west of the DSC, but the entrance into the parking lot will be closed during this time. That also means through traffic will not be able to move through the property through on Klein Drive. And vice versa. We're notifying the doctor's offices west of the property. The Brazos Transit that provides bus services and signs will be up at Russell and North Street at the Klein and Stalling Drive. We're also sharing information on social media. Just wanted to let everyone know of those changes that are attending tonight and those that are tuning in about the closure in that area. Who meet the criteria, let me see, I've got nothing else other than I did arrive from the Boys and Girls Club prior to coming here, and I saw our black and gold swim team for the polo match. They gave me the honor of dropping the ball. By the way, that was stressful. I didn't know what to do. Dropped the ball in for the game, and that was more nervous than being up here because those kids, I didn't want to mess it up. But it was amazing to watch the energy of our swim team and the polo and a great group of kids there at the Boys and Girls Club, and we're proud of the partnership we have with the Boys and Girls Club. So other than that, Coach, that's all I have, other than this weekend's going to be busy in Nacogdoches.
I'm sure.
With homecoming and, what is that trucking thing that we're having?
Big rig.
Big rig, something. So,
Okay, thank you.
tonight?
Okay, next, we are in a public comment, and we have one request, and that's Mr. Jeff Apt. Yes, sir. Mr. Apt, normally we give 3 minutes, but I'm sure you can,
I'll take less than 3 minutes.
and it's not about your wife, is it?
Thank you. President Nurman, board members, and Dr. Trujillo. My name's Jeffrey Apt. I live on Lanana Street here in Nacogdoches. And on behalf of the Board of Directors of Friends of Historic Nacogdoches Incorporated and its members, I'd like to thank you for allowing us to put up a sculpture of E.J. Campbell, who is one of our cultural heroes here in Nacogdoches, the oldest town in Texas. And as you know, E.J. Campbell sculpture will be dedicated 19th of October at 11 a.m. The public is invited, and you especially. At its unveiling, it will become a part of the Heritage Walk along Mound Street between Stephen F. Austin State University in downtown Nacogdoches. There, just east of the old university building on historic Washington Square, the sculpture of E.J. Campbell will represent the many beloved educators who have been a part of Nacogdoches history. Now, I hope you have the text of the historic marker before you. If you do, wave them at me there. Good, read them. Again, I'd like to thank you for allowing us to put this sculpture at the site. It's a fitting and prestigious place. Now I'll just close with this because people want to know. The sculpture, like all the statues here in Nacogdoches, are funded by foundations and citizens here in Nacogdoches. They're privately funded. No public money goes into them. Friends of Historic Nacogdoches has as its mission to preserve and celebrate the rich history, multifaceted history of Nacogdoches. And so we thank you for allowing us to put the sculpture up there on Mountain Street. Thank you very much.
And thank you. Okay, just a note for those who are interested addressing the board in the future, the instructions of how to sign up are included on the meeting notice. Okay, at this time, we have public comment, public meeting, actually. We will now hold a public meeting regarding the proposed tax rate for 2024-2025 school year. After the presentation, the board will hear comments from the audience. Comments will be limited to 3 minutes for each and must be related to tax rate presentation. Mr. Eberlein, our Chief Financial Officer, would be the presenter.
Yes, sir. President Neerman, Board of Trustees, and Superintendent Trujillo. This is just a brief presentation on the adoption of our tax rate. There we go. So for the general fund, I've just listed some information for you all and the public. This is our adopted revenues and expenditures for our general fund for the 24-25 school year. As you can see, our recommendations to get to these numbers, projected ADA of 5,240.01 students, and a proposed tax rate of 0.7552. For our debt service, also revenues and expenditures as adopted by the board, and recommendations, and to get to these numbers, a 38-cent tax rate to meet all obligations and early defeasance of bond debt. And that is my report. Any public comment?
Thank you, sir. Are there any member of the audience have any comments or questions? If not, this concludes the public meeting. And now reports. Tonight we have two reports, starting with annual data report, presenter Dr. Dea Hill and Kimberly Welsh, both assistant superintendents.
President Rashid, real quick, Reverend Urban has asked a question, and just for the sake of the last item, can you get the total tax rate
that's what the public wants.
for the public will know what the total tax rate is that they're being asked?
Yes, sir. That public tax rate, total tax rate is 1.1352.
And how does that compare to previous tax rates?
That is down in total by 0.0045.
So our tax rate is dropping. So just thank you.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Reverend, for the question. My apologies. Go ahead, Commissioner.
Good evening, President Neerman, Board of Trustees, and Superintendent Trujillo. On behalf of myself and Dr. Welsh, we would ask Ms. Ashley Boyette to come to the podium to deliver this evening's annual report on our data.
Good evening, President Neerman, board members, and Superintendent Trujillo. Can y'all hear me okay?
Yes, can we
Okay,
turn
great.
them up a little bit?
Yeah, a little louder.
I'm having trouble hearing everybody. It's turned up. Is it?
Is
Okay, never-
this better?
I'll just
Can I
listen
get closer?
You're just going to have to yell.
Just have to use my teacher voice. Okay, so this is our annual review that we bring to you every fall. Last year it was delayed to October because scores were delayed, but this year we're able to present in September. We're going to start off with staff vacancies and substitute information. The average class size for elementary classrooms were a little below 18 students per class. We had 1,044 full-time staff members and 442 teachers. This is a list of our vacancies by campus and long-term subs and permanent subs. A permanent sub is going to be the person who fills the teacher vacancy or for those campuses, and then long-term subs are going to fill in gaps for teachers who have longer leaves, usually due to medical issues or something like that. We move into our early literacy assessment data. This is for our kindergarten through pre-K through second grade. Pre-K, our students are going to take the circle exam. That's going to look at syllabication, onset and rhyme, alliteration, rhyming, and rapid letter naming. And then our K2 students are going to take the M-Class Amplify test. This is going to go over letter names, phonemic awareness, letter sounds, decoding, reading accuracy, reading fluency, reading comprehension, and composite score, which is their overall reading ability. And when we look closer into that, we're looking at the composite score. This is the circle data for our pre-K kiddos. As you can see in the reading portion, we have growth from the 23 school year to the 24 school year. In the math component, we had just a slight dip in that, but overall, our math has gone up since we started in the 21 and 22 school years. Amplify, like I said before, this is the overall composite scores. It looks a little different than it has in years past because I thought the bar graphs that were horizontal were real hard to read, so I tried to make it a little bit easier to read. The green portion are the students who are at or above grade level. The darker gray are below grade level, that are well below, and then the gray are just below grade level, so they're just a little bit away from being where they need to be. And this is our kindergarten. On the left, that's the 23-24. The top is the beginning of school year. The bottom is the end of school year. But if you compare that to the 23-24 school year, even though we started about the same number of percentages on grade level, we had a larger amount of growth. Ms. Canty has worked really hard with our teachers, and we can see this growth happening. First grade, it's all the same. The green is the at or above grade level. And we can see increase from the beginning of year to end of year. And we can see an increase from the end of year of 22-23 to the end of 23-24. Second grade is the same trend. We can see growth from the beginning of the year to the end, and then also from one year to the next. So now we're going to move on to the STAR and the EOC data. Before I get into that, there are just a couple of things that I would want us to think about when we look at this. Of course, we all know that there were changes to the way that the STAR was graded with the AI grading, and that's not just for the English and reading portions. It's also in science and social studies. They have constructed responses in those that were also AI graded. So usually we think of the English portion whenever we think of that, but no, it was across content areas except for math. Another change that happened this year is Alt 2, the test that the students in life skills courses, they usually take the alternate assessment, but this year the state made changes and a large majority of those students took STAR test for the first time this year. So whenever we're looking at our data, that's just some of the things to keep in mind because the state changed the criteria for the test. So we had a lot of students who had never taken the STAR test before take the STAR. So first of all, we're going to start with elementary schools and reading and language arts. For third grade, we had 55% that met approaches or above. Fourth grade, 61%. Fifth grade, also 61%. Moving to the reading language arts for middle school, sixth grade, we had 61%. Seventh grade, 55%. And eighth grade, 65%. When we look at elementary math, we see third grade was 49%, fourth grade 41%, and fifth grade 47%. And then sixth through eighth grade math at the middle school, 57% for sixth grade, seventh grade was 32%, and eighth grade was 39%. One thing to keep in mind for eighth grade is our advanced students did not take eighth grade math, they took Algebra 1. And so when we go to a couple of slides from now, we're going to see Algebra 1 was a lot higher because all of those advanced kids did not take the regular eighth grade STAR math test. Fifth grade science and eighth grade science are the only two times, or other than biology, EOC, are the only times science is tested. So for fifth grade, this was the first time these students had taken a science test. They were at 31%, and they don't take another one until eighth grade, which we had 54%. And something for us to think about for next year, then the state changed all of the science TEKs this year. And so this year, Ms. Matthews, our science coordinator, has worked very hard to make sure that teachers and students have what they need for the new science curriculum and new science TEKs that we have for this upcoming year. 8th grade social studies, 34%. 8th grade social studies is a tough test. Not this test, but a few years back, somebody ran it through a grader to see what level this test was written at, and it's written at a 12-plus reading level. All the constitutional vocabulary and things that we're expecting our 8th grade to take. So historically, 8th grade social studies is a very, very hard test for our students across the state. In Algebra 1, 98%, which is fantastic, but like I said, those are our advanced kids who are taking that test. So we're going to transition to high school. English 1, we're at 55%. English 2 is 64%. And when we're looking at these EOC numbers, these are all of the students that took the EOC. So this includes students who have had to retest multiple times. This is the total score for all of the tests. Algebra, biology, and U.S. history. So algebra, this takes out those advanced students who took the algebra in the 8th grade. So we're just looking at the students who are on a regular track, not an advanced track. 84% in biology and 95% in U.S. history. And so that is my presentation for the annual data review.
Go ahead, Mary.
I have not had very much sleep all week because I wake up about 3 in the morning and I make speeches to y'all. And I basically vent over this test and the tests ever since the 1980s that the state has decided to give us. But I'm not going to vent because I can't do anything about that test. But I would like to say, coming from a classroom teacher's perspective, and I'm saying this is Leah Beth App saying this, so don't sue the board, okay? I wonder if anyone at TEA, if any of them are educators, and if they have any clue about brain study. I mean, you didn't mention this, but another wonderful twist that they gave us was that everyone had to take this online.
Yes, ma'am.
And just totally ignoring brain development for those younger grades and tactical, use. It just infuriates me. And as an English teacher, when they came to the essays, we always told our students, here is what they're going to look for, because you probably will not have an English major grading it. You have just someone, hopefully with a college education, who needs the money, who's going to come in, and they have a rubric, and they're looking for these things. And when I started teaching the pre-advanced, and these kids were good writers. I mean, we probably have some published authors that are alumni. And they would have lower writing scores because these people are looking for a very low rubric here. And these students are very creative, and they're going to put in ellipses, or they're going to use figurative language, and it would blow their mind. And I'm wondering if that AI can catch that. Also, I wonder what grade level the state has determined for each of the grades, because some of this is very suspicious that all of a sudden these kids are not considered to be on grade level, but they're going to give a test with vocabulary for a senior. Do they not know how to make a test? And is the test not for the purpose of finding out how much a student knows? No. This last year, this was a gotcha test. Oh, I am venting, I'm sorry. But many of you may have remembered those wonderful professors that had this great great reputation. Oh, you got to have them. They are so hard. And you go in, and their tests are ridiculous. And I admit I'm not a great test taker. And I have a son-in-law that I hate because he can take a test over something he's never studied and still ace it. You know, there's those kind of people. But there are those gotcha test makers who say, okay, we're going to be tested over this chapter, and it's a fill-in-the-blank test, and they're not going to accept synonyms. No, they want the word they're thinking of. That is a gotcha test. Okay, now I've said all that to say, I have great faith in our teachers, and they are doing what they can to look at these lousy tests and figure out where their students are lacking and filling in the gaps. And I'm mad at the state. Okay.
I'm going to, off of the state test, but looking up at the improvement in scores both from the beginning of the year and the end of the year, and just note that that doesn't happen on its own. Parents brought their kids to school, and we know that attendance makes a difference. And we know that the staff who stand outside and get kids out of the car, got the kids out of the car, and we know they were fed, and we know their teachers were ready and prepared to teach them, because you don't see this level of improvement from beginning of the year to the end of the year without all of those people. So it's the strength of our district to see these growth across the year, so.
Thank you. And you wonder if the TEA has any education background. I gotta wonder if any of them are parents, you know? Because you're sitting here at home with your child and you know what they know. I know what my kids know, and I know that they're passing the test, and I know what they're doing at home in front of me. And there's a computer gonna look at it and try to tell us that they're below grade level. I'm just so livid about this. I'm kind of like, I wasn't going to vent. I wasn't even going to say anything because I couldn't say anything nice at all. So maybe I should just stop right there.
Well, and I want to say something, but mine is from a different perspective in terms of the mental health of our students in our schools since the pandemic, since all these ugly things happening. We can't teach our kids if they're not mentally capable of doing that. If they're having depression, if they're having anxiety, we need to make sure that we can give those students all those services so that they can be successful in education, and that's where I'm coming from. But the other part, they're the teachers. I'm the social worker.
Okay, I can't not just stop with that. You just made me think of more stuff. I see these, because I watch my daughter with her children. What? Okay. And I see at home, the whole week of testing, their lives stop. Everybody at home and grandparents, everybody, oh no, we can't do that. We got to cancel all the games because we got to study for STAR. I see what's going on in the community. The whole community stops. So, even at church, okay, we can't have those programs this week because STAR. And so I'm just... You're right. It's the mental health. It's the whole family that this affects. And now they've changed it so much that you can't even compare. How are they doing? We don't know because we just started this. And we don't even know how it was created and looked at. And so anyway, I just want to thank everybody that works so hard to try to get our kids where they need to be. And I know it's hard. And I'm sorry. And I just wish that, I don't know. Okay, I'm going to stop because we're on TV. I'm going to stop.
President Fashid, if I may add something to this. I'm sitting back and I'm proud of this board for the courage that this board has taken to communicate not only to our leaders that are out here in this audience, but to the teachers that are in the classrooms and to our families, that we are going to have the courage to step out and say enough is enough and join this lawsuit. That is to get some clarity to what has happened. I've been in education for 30-plus years, and I've seen different tests come and go. And every time we get a new test, they name it something different. This test has changed, but it's still called the STAR test. So if you're going to change it, you have to rename it. So we'll just slap 2.0 on the end of it, and that's what they call it, STAR 2.0, and they make an adjustment with that. Inter-rater reliability, something very powerful. That's what we're asking for, is a neutral third party that can come in and evaluate the state assessment to figure out if it is reliable, is it collecting the information that we need to have, is it valid? Yeah, we talked about some of the things that are there. The online testing, that was just a complete surprise. A complete surprise. Matter of fact, it was done in some areas that we weren't even aware that it was being done. And the interesting thing is, if we don't like the AI grading it, then the taxpayers of this community that we collect and we pay, we can go back and send that test to get regraded. One test, regraded, $600 for one student. How many tests are we going to send in to get regraded? So that becomes a burden of the community, of that school district. And I have peers that have done that. They've sent back to get regraded. And what's interesting, when they got regraded, it came back completely different. A student came back, one was a 3 of them, maybe a 1, and now they come back and it's a 3. If you don't know the rubric in grading papers and the writing test, that's a big difference. That's why we're asking for the third party to go in there and evaluate the integrated reliability, look at it, is it valid, find out who is providing the AI testing for this assessment. It's nothing unreasonable that we're asking for. We want transparency when it comes to it. You saw something very interesting on that board, beginning and ending, but I promise you, these leaders that are out here, they got another one in there. Beginning, middle, and end. So campuses are doing things to figure out where the learners are. And when we get the score, that final score, it's on the end of that. And what I do appreciate is the state does realize and recognize growth. But we also want to make sure, what is the baseline, what's the bench line? We can't even compare. This is why you didn't see her comparing numbers to what it was last year, because the test completely changed, and there's no way to look at it to figure out how do we compare to that. So I'm not getting on a soapbox. I did that on Monday, so for those of you tuning in, if you want to hear exactly how passionate I'm about this, you can tune back to the Monday agenda review. It's on YouTube. I got a little more passionate with that and shared more details, but I appreciate this board for the courage that they've done to join this lawsuit, and we are going to partner up with our peers across the state of Texas. This is not a Nacogdoches, it's across the state of Texas to say enough is enough. We want reliability and validation to figure out if this is an appropriate assessment for our kiddos. So with that, President Fashid, I don't have nothing else to say. So
I don't have much to say, except I echo what Ms. Apps just said, because we talked it sometimes, and we feel exactly the same way. And as a person who was new to the language, if I couldn't understand exactly what they're asking, I couldn't give a proper answer. Okay? Okay. Next report is NISD's Police Department Radio Upgrade Report. And Superintendent Trujillo and Chief Barton, who's going to be presenting it.
President Fashid, we had an opportunity here from Motorola, but it was just Motorola, to talk to us about the radios, and we made a commitment that we want to figure out what's in the best interest for our law enforcement officers, for them to be provided with the best tools so that we can communicate across the board, whatever agencies we have, whether it's the Nacogdoches Police Department, our PD for the school district, SFA, the sheriffs, and being able to communicate with each other and clarify some things with the antenna, because we got some confusion when it comes to that. I can't even put it in words because I don't talk radio.
Yes, sir.
But I'm sure these guys, they'll be able to do that. So I'm gonna yield to Chief and the guests that he has with him.
Good evening, President Neermond, board members, Superintendent Trujillo. Today, my guests are from LCRA, and hopefully we can get a lot more clarification of what's going on with the radio systems and which is the best route to move forward. So I'm going to go ahead and yield to them.
Chief Barton, thank you. My name's Kaylee Coltrane. I'm with the Lower Colorado River Authority. This is Caleb Seifert. He's one of our radio techs. We both work in the telecom side of Lower Colorado River Authority. We provide a shared 7,800 megahertz radio system that is used for law enforcement and first responders. That's the system that the city of Nacogdoches, including the police department, public works, and the fire department, Stephen F. Austin Police Department, and your police department is on right now. So that's where you guys are right now. Just a little explanation, and I'm just going to say a little bit and then open it up to questions so that that's what we're here for, right? In the next year, plus or minus 6 months, could be 6 months, could be a year and a half, the county has chosen to put up multiple radio sites that are Motorola radio sites. Our radio sites happen to be from L3 Harris. But they put up Motorola radio sites which will be onto the TexWarn system, which is the Harris County system. TexWarn out of Harris County is a shared radio system, just like ours. They just have a little different footprint than we do. We all have our specific footprints. So you will be moving on to that system. The county's moving on to that system, and more than likely, you guys will be too, just because that's probably the best move for you to stay in simpatico with everybody else as they go for interoperation and to be able to communicate amongst all of the agencies. It makes sense. Until then, we're more than happy to help you do whatever it is you want to do and answer any questions that you have and get you to make a smooth transition to the new system. Just for your knowledge, both systems are what we call a Protocol 25, which is P25. You may have heard that term somewhere. P25 is a protocol that was adopted by APCO, which is the governing agency kind of radio communications in the United States. And it's an international protocol. And the purpose of it was to make no more proprietary systems. So if there's a Motorola system, you couldn't just have Motorola radios to work on it. Now Harris radios, Kenwood radios, Tate radios, they can all work on any system. So we run a P25 system, so you can, as a matter of fact, we happen to sell both Harris and Motorola radio subscriber units. We're agnostic, we don't care. It's whatever makes everybody happy, right? Because the radios and the systems are agnostic to each other. They all work together. So Motorola, or the TexWarn system that they'll be moving to, is also a P25 system. So I'm here to tell you right now that the radios that Chief Barton has will work on the new system. As with anything, every company has their proprietary features. There's a little something here or a little something there that works better with their equipment, but that's to be expected. I mean, that's just in sales in general. But the radios that you guys have now, once they're reprogrammed, will work on the TexWarn system, and you guys bought them in 2019, Chief Barton tells me. Sorry, I did not have this account in 2019, so, but in 2019, so that's five-ish years ago. They're going to last you another 10, 12, 15 years before they give out on you. And right now, I can tell you for sure that the school district has 13 radios on our system, and for a police force the size that Chief Barton's running, which is on average or on par with Stephen F. Austin, who has 60 radios on our system, 60. So running the same size of system, he's doing a whole lot with not very much. So we just want to help him and help you guys make the best economic decisions that you can make and move you forward so that you're set up for success in the future. So with that, if anybody has any questions, please shoot away. We're here. Whatever you need, we'll answer you honestly. Go ahead.
Okay, so I heard you say that these radios will be good for another 10 years maybe?
Yeah, the average lifespan depends on...
And what would be the drawback of keeping them?
Oh, there's no drawback.
Okay.
None whatsoever. They should last you, they should, with proper care, last you, and by proper care, I don't know any law enforcement officers that properly care for their radios, but with somewhat proper care, they should last you 10, 12 more years.
So if we are short in numbers and decided to purchase them, you advise us to buy the same brand that currently we have?
If you want to keep continuity, yes, sir. I know that there are some other agencies within the county that if a radio were to fail them somewhere along the way, their plan is to replace that radio with a Motorola or with a different brand, which is totally acceptable. We completely understand. I mean, it's totally acceptable and is easy to do. But if you want to keep continuity, then the radios, and again, I sell both.
Right.
And I can tell you Motorola makes a great radio. They are typically more expensive than a Harris radio by 30 to 40%. So again, doesn't matter to me, I just want to help you guys.
For clarity,
Yes.
when the county changes over to the new thing they're going on to.
Yes,
And they're
ma'am.
putting up new towers some places, will the radios we have now still function and talk to all the other radios?
For 100% clarity, yes, ma'am. So all they're doing in town
Yeah.
is they're switching out Harris equipment on the tower for Motorola equipment.
Okay.
And that equipment will all report back to Harris County, back to Houston, whereas right now, your Harris equipment, I know that gets confusing, I apologize.
It is.
But we'll call it text Warren. Does that make it easier? So the Motorola equipment will report back to text Warren, which is in Houston. Right now, your Harris equipment that's on the tower reports to Austin, to our core.
Okay, do you think we have to reach that far, the distance to Harris County?
No, not at all. No, not at all. That's all taken care of with magical radio fairy dust, right? They take care of, when they design the system,
Yes.
that's exactly how it's designed.
Well, the first responder and law enforcement probably need to reach much farther than we do in here in Nacogdoches. Am I correct or making sense?
I understand what you're saying, and I think you're thinking a little too much, okay?
I never done that.
Fair enough, fair enough. Not thinking as much as those TEA people about making the test, but the way that the radio system works is when there's a tower, like there is one here in town, that tower puts out a certain amount of frequency to a certain range. We call it coverage or propagation, right? As long as you are within shot of that tower, that's all you need to be. You don't have to worry about where it's going.
Right.
You just have to worry about where you are in relation to the tower.
Okay.
And generally, that's indoor coverage, 6-ish miles, outdoor coverage, 15-ish miles.
Yes.
Okay.
And in the future, is it possible, is it workable, is it manufactured as such that you can change some items or replace some item and still maintain the same radio?
Absolutely, absolutely. All radios these days come basically with the majority of the features in them. It's just which ones you have paid on the front end to activate, and if you want to pay to activate, if you need something, another feature down the line, generally it's really easy to just have that feature updated in the programming, and it's done.
And I believe the county and police department, they're going to get a grant for that. We're not getting grant. We have to spend our own money.
Hence the reason that we want to be as judicious as we can with taxpayer funds.
Well, I thank you for that.
Can you give the board a point of clarification on something? Because this is something that was reported to them before. The new technology on these radios, for instance, if he has a radio and we are at a site that you don't have cell tower, but you have Wi-Fi.
Sure.
And connecting to it, are the radios that we currently have with the officers, can they be retrofitted with that Wi-Fi, updated with that Wi-Fi connection? Are they new enough to have that?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir, they are. And actually, Chief Barton and I talked a lot about this. Probably the thing you need to understand is between, and there's two major players here, there's Harris and there's Motorola, right? Those are the two major manufacturers. Both of their Wi-Fi offerings are, because of the back-end equipment that's needed for them, are basically proprietary to each of their systems. So the Wi-Fi on a Motorola, it goes to the cloud, and there's a whole bunch of other stuff, okay, that can happen, but it doesn't like to report to a Harris core, right? It likes to report to a Motorola core. So a Motorola Smart Connect is what they call it. That Wi-Fi ability does a whole lot better with a Harris core, like the text warn system. The feature for the Harris radios that Chief Barton has is from Harris, is called Beyond, and that is, and it can be used with either Wi-Fi, LTE, or a combination of both. But again, it really likes to only report to a Harris core. So if you bought Motorola radios right now and you put the Wi-Fi on them, the Smart Connect on them, until you make the switch, it wouldn't necessarily work the way that you wanted it to.
So,
Just like if you bought, if we put the Wi-Fi, the Harris Wi-Fi on his radios now, it would work great until you switched, and then it wouldn't work the way you wanted it to either. Does that make sense?
you said that they're changing to the other ones, that the county are changing the other system, and they're
Correct.
putting in new sites.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Does that involve the Wi-Fi at all? Like, does that involve their cloud and those features?
Go ahead. So basically, if they put this system in,
Uh-huh.
y'all keep the Harris radios.
Yeah.
Y'all want to use the Wi-Fi feature
Yeah.
on the new system?
Yeah.
It won't work.
Okay. That's what I
Nice and plain.
thought
With
was the
the radios
case.
you have now, it will work fine on the system you're using today.
Yes.
If y'all want to move to the text warn system with the Harris radios you have now, it's not going to work.
Okay. Will this system we have now go away? Because that was kind of what was said, was like the stuff that's in the towers that we're using right now is going to be taken out.
I don't know that. I don't know that everybody has given us a commitment that they're getting off the system. If somebody wants to keep it, we can definitely keep it.
Okay. Because that was, felt like what we were told, was that they're all going to this other one, so this other connection path is going to be taken off.
I don't know that.
So, we don't have a straight answer on that either.
Okay.
Right? Let me give you this as a short answer. The
Uh-huh.
equipment that's on the tower right now,
Correct.
that
We
reports
use.
to our system that everybody uses,
Right.
is purchased and paid for.
So y'all aren't,
We, LCRA, we have a shared radio system, so you guys pay us a certain amount of dollars annually or per month for the radios that you have on the system. We use that to maintain all of that equipment,
okay.
okay? So what's there now can stay as long as everybody who owns it wants it to stay.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
So if we're the only ones who stay,
Now, I'm going to ask you another question.
As long as the city's okay with it, it can stay.
I see the trickiness. Okay.
I don't have any control
I
over
feel like I'm
whether...
not on that committee. Okay.
The city owns the tower, the city owns the equipment, the city owns everything.
Okay.
So...
That is good
it's not
information
our
for
decision.
us. Okay. That we also
Now, what's the
don't own that
life
tower.
expectancy for Motorola? Is there
For
such a thing?
What kind of equipment?
Just their radios?
Oh, their actual radios?
Yes. The same
Again-
thing as we are?
Again, they're going to be pretty similar.
Yeah.
Motorola, I would say, Caleb may have a different opinion because he works with them day in and day out a little more than I do. I'd say they may have a couple years longer
Yeah.
than the average life of a Harris radio, but they're going to be, all in all, they're going to be pretty similar.
I'm not, I get it.
Just curiosity, Chief, how many more radios do we need?
Currently, I'm at a deficit of about 5 to 6 radios, just off the top of my head.
Yes, sir.
So I'm able to have, without saying too much, I've got enough where I've got, my campus is covered with radios.
Yes.
Yeah.
But I've got new hires still to come.
Yeah.
So my goal is to, I'm not trying to replenish everything at once because they clarified a lot for me. So I know where I stand on what I have and what I need.
Okay.
I
Good.
perfectly understand, and I know which
You
direction
understand.
you go.
That feels great.
Yes. I finally understand. I've learned a lot.
If anyone needs to understand, it's the chief of police for the school district, and that's right. It's your shop.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for the information.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you all for having us.
Thank you, folks.
Okay. Now we move into consent agenda. Unless removed from consent agenda, all items will be acted on with one motion. If there is a board member who wishes to discuss an item on the consent agenda, please indicate their number of the agenda. We put that on the side and discuss and vote on that separately.
Could I pull item C, 1 and 2?
Item C, 1 and 2.
Just for some questions of clarification.
Okay. What page are you in, sir?
Agenda items, C, 1 and 2, consent.
Okay, that's CNS Network Solution for Ag Barn.
C, 1 and 2.
Yeah,
For the ag barn.
for Ag Barn.
And the other,
I guess that's our Chief Financial Officer's response.
Go ahead and carry the motion, and we'll bring these up.
Okay, is anyone in favor of going through a motion for everything except that?
Yes.
Okay. All right,
I will move that we approve the consent agenda with the exception of items C, 1 and 2.
all in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
And we'll put that item separately, okay? I don't have it on my agenda.
What is it?
Purchase over 50,000, and CNS Networking Solution, Ag Barn Fiber Project, and CNS Networking Solution, Data Center Fiber Relocation Project.
My question is, I guess it's to the superintendent. Those two items are in the amount of $331,260. Are they absolutely necessary?
What's the total amount for those?
$331,260 for both of them.
Together.
Oh, you're talking, oh, yes.
He's combined it.
Yes, okay, I was looking at them separately. They are because of the commitment that we've done. One of them was actually funded, was going to be funded through E-rate. Work was completed, was done, fiber's there, and we need to pay the bill because E-rate came back and said it doesn't qualify to be funded through E-rate, and that's actually the funding mechanism that we were going to have. The second one is the relocation of this building. The relocation of the technology center, we've done all the things to get it ready for it, and it's moving all the technology that we have over there. So these two items would be absolutely necessary that need to be taken care of for the operations of the district, absolutely.
So we went thinking that E-rate was going to cover it.
That's the ag,
It was
right?
funding it. Okay, got you.
That was the ag.
Okay.
That was the ag, yeah.
Yeah, got you.
And the funding mechanism that we're looking for, that's paying for this, is coming out of capital. So these
That's
were
right.
planned expenditures, so it's not coming out of fund balance or anything. These are items that we knew that we were going to have a cost, and we made a prior commitment knowing that this was going to be that move.
Okay.
When we crossed that
I
over.
just think going forward, we need to just really watch our spending.
Absolutely, absolutely.
We don't have to do it, let's not.
Do we need a second on that?
we need a motion to approve.
I so move that we approve C, 1 and 2.
Okay? And your second. All in favor indicate saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Ms. Anderson, it moves. Mr. Montoya, yes. Okay. With that, thank you. Now we have discussion and action agenda. We have 3 items to discuss for action agenda. First, there is no additional action resulting from executive closed session. Next is consideration and approve of order authorizing the deficiencies, if I'm correct, and redemption of the portion of the district's outstanding unlimited tax bonds and approving escrow agreement and all other instrument and procedures related therefore.
That's crazy language.
You did great.
There's two languages I never understand. Is a lawyers and accountants. Okay, the presenter is Mr.
Yes, sir. President Neermont, Board of Trustees, Superintendent Trujillo. This is from our good friends over at RBC Capital. They came in and did a wonderful presentation for us about early defeasance of our bonds. And this is just the board given authorization to defease up to $4.2 million in early bond defeasance this school year.
Okay. I need a motion for that.
I move to approve the order authorizing the defeasance and redemption of a portion of the district's outstanding unlimited tax bonds and approving an escrow agreement and all other instruments and procedures related thereto.
I'll second the motion.
Okay, all in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. I should have let you read it first. You're an accountant. Okay. Next item, item C, is consideration of and the board action on adoption of the tax rate for 2024 and 2025 fiscal year 20. Presented again, Mr. Webb.
Yes, sir. So before you tonight, we have the ordinance setting the tax rate. So details, so we are looking to adopt a .7552 M&O tax rate and a .38 INS tax rate for a total of 1.1352 total tax rate for the 24-25 school year.
Okay. Board, any comments? If not, I'd like a motion.
I move that we adopt the tax rate of 1.1352 per $100 of valuation, broken down as the following, .07552 for the purpose of maintenance and operation, and .3800 for the purpose of payment of principal and interest on our debts.
Okay. Anyone
I'll second.
All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Okay. So move, approved. Okay, that's what Ms. Winslow wanted it, waiting on it. It's motion to adjourn.
I move that we adjourn.
I second.
Everyone in favor?
Aye.
Okay, opposed?
Always think that.
We adjourn.